Hey guys, and welcome to my video review for Transformers Prime, Beast Hunters Voyager Optimus Prime. Anyway, this is one of those figures that before I got him, I wasn't real sure about him, and I have to say, after getting him, I'm pleasantly surprised. I watched some reviews on YouTube, and I decided I'd give this guy a shot, even though, when I first saw photos of him, I wasn't all that sure about him. Anyway, I'll go ahead and just talk about his vehicle mode a little bit. It rolls fairly well. As far as the overall look of it, I gotta admit, I'm not super impressed. It's functional, it's there, it does the job, but there have definitely been better looking Optimus Primes in vehicle mode, especially in Transformers Prime. I think the RID in the first edition look much better than this guy in vehicle mode anyway. But anyway, I'll go ahead and give you a 360 of him. That way you can get a real good idea of his appearance here. I'll just lift him up for you. Just kind of turn him around. Decent looking figure, functional, but overall it's kind of a little bit lackluster for me. Mostly because he kind of just looks like a robot who's kind of folded down, maybe laying down a little bit. Anyway, you do have some options for his wings in this mode. This is probably the recommended way you can do them, but you can swing them out and have him kind of be a flying truck if you really want to. And whatever your preference is. I'm going to go ahead and put him back in standard configuration. And I'm also going to illustrate mounting his weapons to him in this mode. Now to me, this is actually a lot more elegant than what either First Edition or RID Prime did have, at least for the mounting of the weapons in vehicle mode. I think this is, because they integrate it fairly well into the appearance of the mode, but it's still definitely, even that aside, it's still definitely a weaker vehicle mode than RID or First Edition, just in my opinion. Anyway, there you go. There he is all mounted up with this weapons in vehicle mode. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab an RID Prime. That way you can get an idea of the size difference between these two. Now as you can see, the Beast Hunters Prime is much bulkier and more filled out than the RID Prime is. And that's kind of something I like to see. It looks like Hasbro is giving us somewhat larger Voyagers than what they were before. And to me, that's great. Larger figures are always nice. So, although honestly, I'd rather have smaller figures that are more well detailed, but I do like larger figures too, don't get me wrong. So, anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap up the vehicle mode, and I will be back in a flash with robot mode. Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my review, robot mode. Here we have Optimus in his, in my opinion, far superior robot mode. I really like the way this guy looks, because he's a great combination of a lot of the past Optimus Prime figures we've had. His color scheme, of course, is very reminiscent of what we had with Optimus Prime pretty much since the G1 days. If you can see the detailing here on his leg, that looks kind of like the lower piece that was always on G1 Optimus's leg, especially on the masterpieces. His bulky arms remind me somewhat of Optimus Primal. His chest piece reminds me of Cybertron Optimus Prime. And his face, couple of different primes actually. I see some G1, some movie, and of course the Prime cartoon, that Optimus. I like the fact that this guy doesn't have a face plate, and he just kind of has an angry look on his face, which I think is kind of cool. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do some size comparisons here. That way you can get an idea of what you're getting size-wise. Here he is next to First Edition Prime, and he is just a tiny bit larger than First Edition. He is just a hair taller, and he's obviously a bit bulkier, so he's a little larger. Now, the figures weigh actually just about the same, and the reason for that is I think to cut costs some, they used some hollow plastic in this figure. Now, that doesn't really reduce the quality of the figure. He doesn't feel cheap, so that's definitely not a knock or a nitpick, but just something to note. I'll go ahead and give you a 360 of this guy here. And overall, he's a pretty solid looking figure from all directions. Now, one thing some people complained about, they said, oh, he's got a hollow back. Well, if you actually transform him 100% correctly, the wheels wedge up in there pretty good, and he looks pretty solid even from the back. I don't really have that complaint, but some people have made that observation. I don't personally agree with it, but there you have it. Anyway, his articulation is pretty good. He's got somewhat of a foot pivot here. Doesn't really go side to side. Bends at the knee. He's got a ratchet joint up at top of the leg, so forward and back, in and out. His shoulders, now, right now his movement is restricted because of the way his wings are. But you can very easily adjust his wings to give him better posability. Now, for some reason, the official instructions have his wings posed like this with the smokestacks up. Now, the only problem with that is it really blocks his arm movement. Now, the way I like to do it is just twist his his wings out and his smokestacks point down, and then he gets full freedom of movement there, and it's a full 360 around at the shoulder. I mean, if you finagled this thing, you could do that. Anyway, he rotates at the bicep, bends at the elbow, wrist rotation, and his head rotates, obviously, and he can look up a little bit due to the way he transforms. And these shoulder pieces, you can just move these out. That way you can kind of give him as wide of a, pop his arms out as wide as you want. And you got some options for the wings. Obviously, they can fold, and you can kind of put those however you like them. And that kind of reminds me of Jetwing Optimus from the movie, so I think that looks pretty cool. And of course, you can mount his weapons on him in this mode, just like you could vehicle mode, so he can store them without holding them. You put a sword right there on the back. You can put his guns, mount them on his wings real easy. And you can do the other one on the other side. And he holds his weapons real well. I really like the way he looks holding his weapons. Just slide his Star Saber there in that hand. And he can dual wield his gun. Basically what I mean is you can put both of his guns in one hand, if you like. And you can hold them both at the same time. And you can also open up the little plastic side pieces on here and kind of make these things look like crossbows. Basically, whatever your personal preference is. Honestly, overall, I think this toy is great. Like I said, when I first saw pictures of this guy, I wasn't sure about him. I saw some reviews, and I just thought to myself, man, I've got to give this guy a try. And I'm really glad that I did. Excellent toy. I would highly recommend him for anybody. Now, I do know there are some fans out there who don't really like the look of him, and I can understand why. He's not everybody's cup of tea. He's, you know, a good mishmash of Optimuses, but if you like that kind of thing, I definitely recommend you pick him up. You won't regret it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.